Hi, my name is Stephanie Wills, and this is my personal introduction and information on inclusive school culture for EDL 853, Module 1. First, I'm going to talk just a little bit about myself. I am originally from Colorado. I live in Garden City, Kansas right now. I have two kids from a previous marriage, Riley and Reagan. I got remarried 2 years ago and gained three sons, a daughter-in-law and a granddaughter. We have two kids in college and three in the workforce. We have been empty nesters for about a year and are really enjoying having the house to ourselves and starting to do some traveling and just spending time on our own. It's been quite nice. Really enjoying that piece. A little bit about my education. I have a bachelor's from the University of Southern Colorado in Pueblo in English and a minor in elementary education. I have an ESL endorsement from Fort Hays State University. I have my master's in early childhood special education from Emporia State University. About 4 years ago, I got my graduate certificate in sensory disabilities to become a teacher of the visually impaired from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. A little bit about my work history. This is my 23rd year in education. I've taught preschool, kindergarten, first grade, sixth grade. Also done some coaching in there, coached volleyball and basketball. I have been in early intervention for the last 15 years as an early childhood special education teacher at Russell Child Development Center in Garden City, Kansas. And then for the last 3 years, I've also been the teacher for the visually impaired for our children from birth to age 3. And since July, I took on the responsibility as the Tiny K coordinator in my office, and I am responsible for 21 employees that specialize in many different things. We have PTs, OTs, SLPs, social workers, nurses, teachers. We actually cover 13 western counties in Kansas and provide special education, Part C special education for children birth to age 3. And provide home visits to those families. So I find my work to be very rewarding. Can be very difficult at times, but super rewarding. And I have really enjoyed the change to becoming a coordinator and really enjoy my staff. And I have some great ladies that work here with a lot of great knowledge. Kind of now moving into inclusive school culture. What does that mean for me? First, I'm going to look at the first 3 articles that were given to us, Developing an Inclusive Classroom Culture. This article really talked about recognizing the contributions of all students, families, and communities, which is extremely important. Gave some really good strategies on how to develop that inclusive classroom culture, valuing students and what they bring to the table, establishing a respectful class climate and school climate. Everyone participates and everyone achieves, so making sure that that's possible for all people. And involving the community. The next article was Creating an Inclusive School Culture. This article really talked about administrators are really responsible for creating that inclusive school culture. And if the parents feel uncomfortable, they're less likely to visit the school and to be involved. And I think it was this article too that also said you can walk into a building and know that culture and feel that atmosphere just from being in there for a few minutes. So it's really important to establish that inclusive school culture. What you can do to build that culture, it talked about using inclusive language, literature, character education, addressing issues as they arise, and then defining a goal and then making a plan on how you're going to carry that out and how the school is going to include that in their inclusive school culture. The third article was 7 ways to create an inclusive school culture, and this one really talked again about the inclusive classroom, better academic outcomes, and interpersonal relationships for children. Ways that leaders can create that inclusive setting. It talked about academic support. All students have support and opportunities for success. Preparing teachers and through training, curriculum, integrating student bodies, adjust evaluation measurements to take diversity into account. Create respectful school communities and create spaces for discussion, opening discussions and thoughts. And I really feel like when staff, children, community members, families feel safe, then they're more able to have those communication and discussion. So that's a really important part of creating that inclusive school culture. What is inclusive school culture, education, and leadership? Well, in the articles, I found inclusive school culture. It talked about making sure that all students from all backgrounds have equal access to education and services. Then when we're talking about inclusive education, making sure that you're using a teaching model where all students learn together in one environment and all students have equal opportunities. What is the inclusive leadership? That is having leaders that are committed to equity and providing high quality learning experiences. What is the school's leader's role in maintaining an inclusive culture, and what do you do if that doesn't exist? Some of the things that I found, and I believe, our principals are the most important predictor of success in implementing a change. So it's important to review important aspects before launching them throughout the school, and it's important for that principal to believe in those aspects and believe in their mission and principles before they take that to the school, the staff, and the community. State your expectations for an inclusive philosophy. Assign special education staff to department teams, not just segregating them into teams on their own. Provide planning time and training for staff. Allow all educators to have the opportunity to discuss things and to have teaming time. Oversee the appropriate instructional accommodations are being made. And take steps to include students, parents, and staff in creating an inclusive school culture. And I believe that this kind of answers both questions about what the role is and then what do you do if that doesn't exist. These are some of the things that you would do to create that kind of an environment. What supports can a school leader provide to encourage advocacy? I think there's a lot of things that a leader can do to provide, encourage that. First is promoting a safe environment. Like I said before, people are more willing to have discussions, teaming when they feel safe and feel that they're valued. Provide information and training on laws, regulations, etc. It's really important to have that information. Include the parents and community in the advocacy. Encourage advocacy skills at a young age. Even talking about having younger kids talk about the maybe skills that are more difficult for them or why they feel maybe needing some extra help in some areas and how they can communicate that to their teachers, how they can communicate that to family members. It's really important to start developing that early and then model those advocacy skills throughout the day in all areas as teachers, as administrators. It's really important to do that as well. What plans and strategies can be implemented to ensure the equitable treatment of students and or staff in an inclusive culture? First of all, having a mission statement that really includes that information. Once again, changing your attitudes through modeling is really important as an administrator to model that behavior for everyone so they can see it coming down from the top. Culturally responsive teaching, getting to know your students and families, and using inclusive language. What steps can a school leader take to change negative assumptions that affect teaching and learning in an inclusive culture? First is having visible commitment. Once again, like I said, walking the walk, talking the talk, being able to be the person and that shows the teachers, the staff, the community, the students that you are buying into this as well. Awareness of bias. We all have bias, and being aware of our bias and how we can still have that bias, and then how can we move in a different direction, or how can we focus on learning in a different direction. We need to have curiosity about others, cultural intelligence, effective collaboration, live a shared vision. Everyone needs to be working towards the same goal, and build relationships. Relationships are extremely important. My concluding thoughts, I have a better understanding of inclusive school culture because I was able to take the article and information and think about my organization and what our inclusive school culture looks like. My educational leadership skills have improved after completing this assignment. I think the slideshow really helped me understand and show how I, as an administrator, can really help develop an inclusive culture. In my education and organization is a little bit different than a school system, but we still really work on that inclusive culture and how we can provide our services in natural environments where all children are receiving services, whether that be daycare, at the library, at playgroups, things like that. So we really concentrate on that as well. Relevancy. This assignment is relevant to my learning because as an administrator, I play a large role in developing and implementing inclusive culture in my organization. I have been in special education for many years and understand the importance of inclusion, and I bring that mindset with me to my administrative position. I think when staff are supported and educated in how they can make the organization more inclusive, the more success the organization will have. My personal reflection, this assignment has really influenced me by making me more aware of the things that I can do to model and support my staff so that we can create an inclusive environment for all. We have a very diverse culture in Garden City, so I think it's really important for all of my staff to be educated about the different cultures that many of our families bring to our services. It's also important to help families advocate for their children as they get older and learn about advocating, because they do make a transition from Part C education to Part B education when they turn 3, and they may have other transitions throughout school. And so it's really important to help families and caregivers, guardians, to understand what those transitions look like and how they can advocate for their children and their families. And then here are my references. So thank you for watching my presentation, and I'm really excited to be working with everyone this semester.